He tried to sell your World Cup, not part of it, a stake in it, a percentage of the most watched sporting event in human history, sold to private investors, including a man named Jason Kushner, brother of Jared Kushner, son-in-law of Donald Trump. The same Donald Trump whose phone call helped overturn a red card during this very World Cup. Gianni Infantino tried to sell a piece of the World Cup to people connected to the White House, without telling UEFA, without telling 3 other major confederations, without telling his own chief operating officer, who found out through other channels and released a statement saying he felt deceived by his own boss. His own COO felt deceived by Infantino and published that in writing. And then the entire football world erupted. UEFA said they had lost confidence in his leadership. 3 confederations rejected the plan, protests across the sport, and 48 hours after announcing it, Infantino withdrew the entire proposal and pretended it had never happened. This is not the Argentina letter story. This is not the brawl at the final. This is not the shocked face footage. This is something far more serious. This is Infantino trying to privatize world football while nobody was looking, and getting caught. Welcome back to Robert's Football Talk. I am your host, and if you are new here, subscribe right now, because today we are breaking down the most explosive story in football governance since Sepp Blatter was arrested. The secret privatization plan, the Kushner connection, the COO who felt deceived, UEFA losing confidence, and the question that 3 confederations and every major football federation in Europe is now asking out loud. Is Gianni Infantino finished as FIFA president? Subscribe now. Zero coding, let us go. Part 1. What Infantino actually tried to do. The plan that shocked the world. Let me explain what the FIFA Forward Enterprise Plan actually was, because the detail is more alarming than any headline can capture. Infantino announced the plan on Tuesday, July 29th, just 10 days after the World Cup final. While the Argentina brawl investigation was still open, while the ethics complaints against him were sitting with the FIFA Ethics Committee, while UEFA had already described their relationship with FIFA as strained. In that context, 10 days after the most controversial World Cup final in history, Infantino announced he wanted to sell a stake in the World Cup to private investors. The plan was called FIFA Forward Enterprise. It would have injected capital into every FIFA member nation by opening up a percentage of the World Cup to private investment. Reports linked Jason Kushner as the leader of the investment group. Jason Kushner, brother of Jared Kushner, son-in-law of Donald Trump. The same Trump whose intervention, according to reports, led to a red card being overturned during the World Cup group stage. Infantino wanted to hand a financial stake in the World Cup to people in the orbit of the American president, without consulting the major confederations, without transparency about who the investors were, without the governance structures that FIFA's own statutes require for decisions of this magnitude. And he did not tell his own chief operating officer the full details of the plan, Kevin Lamore, FIFA's COO, a longtime colleague of Infantino from their time together at both FIFA and UEFA, someone who works with Infantino every day, released a statement to the Associated Press saying FIFA staff were deceived by Infantino's lack of openness in planning the sale over recent months. He wrote that the project must not continue. And then he wrote the sentence that every person in football governance is quoting today. He wrote, "It is the project of one person. One person, not FIFA, not the confederations, not the member associations, not the governance structures that are supposed to make these decisions. One person. Gianni Infantino, deciding to sell a stake in your World Cup to private investors connected to the American president without telling the people who work for him or the organizations that represent football globally." Now, I want to ask you something. The FIFA coup said he felt deceived by his own boss about a plan to privatize the World Cup. When you read that, what does it tell you about how FIFA is being run right now? Drop your answer in the comments immediately. Subscribe to Robert's Football Talk right now. Share this video, because the UEFA response is where this becomes a full crisis. Part 2. UEFA lost confidence. The sentence that could end Infantino. Here is the sentence that has rewritten the entire landscape of football governance in the last 48 hours. UEFA said Infantino has lost the confidence of UEFA over this plan. Lost the confidence. That is the formal language of institutional no confidence. In politics, when a prime minister loses the confidence of parliament, they resign or face a vote of removal. In corporate governance, when a CEO loses the confidence of the board, they are removed. In international sporting governance, when the president of FIFA loses the confidence of UEFA, the most powerful confederation in world football, representing 55 of FIFA's 211 member associations, the architecture of his leadership begins to crumble. UEFA went further than just saying they had lost confidence. They threatened to boycott FIFA competitions until the proposal was scrapped. UEFA. Threatening to boycott FIFA. This is not a statement from a disgruntled smaller confederation. This is the governing body of European football threatening to withdraw its members from FIFA competitions. This is the Champions League countries, the Premier League countries, La Liga countries, Serie A countries, Bundesliga countries, all represented by UEFA, all threatening to walk away from FIFA's competitions because of what Infantino tried to do. That threat worked. Within hours of UEFA's statement and the boycott threat, Infantino withdrew the entire plan, released a statement saying it would not proceed, retreated completely, as if the plan had never existed. But it did exist, and FIFA's COO said it was the project of one person, and UEFA said they lost confidence in him. And 3 other confederations rejected it, and it was connected to people in the orbit of the American president. And Infantino withdrew it only when the institutional walls came down on him simultaneously from multiple directions. This is the same pattern as the Argentina letter. He does what he wants, the world reacts, the pressure builds, he retreats, and then he moves on as if nothing happened. Except this time the pressure is from UEFA threatening to boycott, from his own COO saying he felt deceived, from candidates already being discussed to replace him as FIFA president, from Al Jazeera reporting on who the candidates to take on Infantino for the FIFA presidency are, from the Asian Football Confederation saying football must be shaped through proper consultation, from every direction simultaneously. This is not Argentina letter pressure. This is existential pressure on his presidency. Part 3. The Kushner connection. The detail that ties everything together. Let me talk about Jason Kushner, because this connection is the most explosive detail in a story full of explosive details. Jason Kushner, brother of Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner is married to Ivanka Trump, Donald Trump's daughter. Jason Kushner was reportedly the leader of the investment group that Infantino was planning to hand a stake in the World Cup to. And here is the connection that makes this more than a financial scandal. During this very World Cup, reports emerged that Donald Trump called Infantino to request a review of a red card shown to American player Folarin Balogun. The red card was subsequently overturned, a sitting U.S. president personally intervening in a FIFA refereeing decision. Now 10 days after that World Cup ends, FIFA's president tries to sell a stake in the next World Cup to the brother of the man married to that president's daughter. Is that a coincidence? Is that normal business? Is that the kind of transparent, accountable governance that the most powerful sporting organization in the world should be conducting? Outkick connected these dots explicitly. They noted that Infantino was already involved in controversy over Trump's intervention in the Balogun red card decision, and then reported the Kushner connection to the investment plan in the same context. FIFA taking money from people connected to the sitting American president, while that same president was intervening in FIFA refereeing decisions at a World Cup hosted in America. That is the picture. And Infantino tried to make it happen without telling UEFA, without telling his COO, without the transparency that the stakes of the decision demanded. Subscribe to Robert's Football Talk right now and share this video right now, because what comes next is the presidency question. Part 4. The candidates. The question of whether Infantino survives. Al Jazeera published a list of candidates to take on Infantino for the FIFA presidency. That article existing, that question being asked by one of the world's most respected news organizations, tells you everything about where we are. FIFA's COO said it is the project of one person, and the time has come for football political leaders to ask themselves the right questions and make the right decisions. Kevin Lamore, Infantino's colleague of many years, saying publicly that it is time for football's leaders to make the right decisions about his boss. FIFA's COO calling for a change of leadership without using those exact words. In a statement to the Associated Press, published globally, Carlos Cordero, Infantino's own advisor and the former U.S. soccer president, resigned over the plan. His own advisor resigned in protest over what Infantino tried to do. UEFA threatening a boycott. 3 confederations rejecting the plan. The COO feeling deceived. The advisor resigning. Candidates being discussed. The Asian Football Confederation demanding proper consultation. This is not a single controversy that Infantino can write a statement about and wait for the news cycle to move on. This is an accumulation. The Argentina sympathy, the friendship letter, the shocked face, the late brawl condemnation, the meditate or pray rant, the ethics complaints, and now, the secret privatization plan connected to Trump's family, the COO who felt deceived, UEFA losing confidence. One man has done all of this in the space of 6 weeks. The 6 weeks of the most watched sporting event in the world, in full public view, with every major outlet covering every step. And he withdrew the plan on Friday night, simply titled in FIFA's statement attributable to the FIFA president. No press conference. No apology to the confederations he did not consult. No acknowledgement that his own COO felt deceived. No response to UEFA's confidence statement. Just a statement that the plan will not proceed and silence. That is how Gianni Infantino has governed world football. That is what he tried to do to your World Cup. Part 5. What this means for the sport you love. Let me close with this, because this story is not just about one man and his decisions. It is about the institution that runs the sport that millions of people around the world love. FIFA controls the World Cup, the most watched sporting event in human history. More people watch the World Cup than any other sports competition that has ever existed. Its commercial value is measured in billions. Its cultural significance is immeasurable. It belongs to the sport, to the players, to the fans, to every country that qualifies and every person who watches. Infantino tried to sell a percentage of it to private investors, connected to the American president, without consulting the organizations that represent the countries competing in it, without telling his own COO, without transparency, without the governance structures that FIFA's own rules require. And when he was caught, he withdrew the plan and said nothing more. UEFA has lost confidence in him. His COO felt deceived by him. His advisor resigned over him. 3 confederations rejected his plan. Candidates to replace him are being discussed. And somewhere in all of that, the Argentina brawl investigation is still open. The ethics complaints against him are still with the FIFA Ethics Committee. The Falklands banner investigation is ongoing. The friendship letter is still published on Argentina's federation website. All of it. At the same time, happening to the same man, running the same organization. Football deserves better governance than this. The players who compete at World Cups deserve a governing body led by someone who does not try to sell stakes in their tournament to presidential families without consultation. The fans who invest their emotion and their time deserve an organization that is transparent about who owns the rights to the sport they love. They do not have that today. They have Gianni Infantino. That is the full breakdown. The secret privatization plan. The Kushner connection. The COO who felt deceived. UEFA losing confidence. The withdrawal that solved nothing. And the presidency question that football must now answer. 3 questions. Drop all 3 in the comments right now. First, should Gianni Infantino resign as FIFA president after everything that has happened in the last 6 weeks? Second, does the connection between the private investors and people in Donald Trump's family change how you see Infantino's relationship with the American political establishment? Third, if you were voting on the next FIFA president today, what qualities would you demand from the person who runs world football? Drop everything below. I read every single one. And this is the most important conversation about the future of football governance that this channel has ever hosted. This has been Robert's Football Talk. Hit that like button as hard as you can. Share this with every football fan you know right now, because this story is about who controls the sport you love. Subscribe if you are not already here. New videos every single week. I will see you in the next one.